Okay, so today's gonna be a little different. I wanted to tell a story, but I also wanted to play Doom at the same time, so we're gonna see how this goes. Oh, got him.
Remains guarded. You can.
Ooh, that guy's a little babe. Thanks, Shayla. Oh my goodness. Okay, so basically, the story I wanted to tell today is, as I've explained before, I'm a locksmith, and I've been doing it for about 2.5 years now, and more and more now, because I'm experienced and I kind of know what I'm talking about, I'm doing more quotes and I'm kind of leading more and more jobs, basically. Interesting. Yeah. So more and more I'm taking the lead on jobs, and what's happened recently is I've been kind of going out quoting jobs and talking to the people and setting it all up, right? So I have to be knowledgeable enough to know what is needed, or understand what they're requesting as far as door repairs or lock installation, stuff of that nature. And I also have to make up the quote, get the bills all set, and then do the work. Ooh. And I've been finding that, there's trial and error that comes with that kind of responsibility. And on one of these jobs that I started over a month and a half ago, I guess, I'm so terrible. I learned a important lesson, or I'm currently still learning an important lesson about the business of making quotes and trying to please customers while also, I guess, not over promising or making myself sound overqualified. I guess I made some mistakes, and I'll explain what happened basically. So yeah, this job, it was meant to just be a simple go out, and what it was is there's a business, and I'll explain as I go, but what I thought I understood about the business was actually only a portion of it. And oh, I'm gonna die. Oh my. But anyway, I was talking to this guy, and I am terrible at Doom. Holy smoke. I was talking to this guy, and he had like 10 sets of double commercial doors at this business location. I am completely out of ammo. All right. And what he wanted was the handles on these double doors, mostly the right side handles, because that's like the door that typically gets used. They were all very loosey-goosey, and he wanted some tightening done, which is something that I can normally do. So I looked into these doors, and like while I was there, I kind of talked to the guy, and another guy came out who seemingly was another owner of one of the businesses in this bundle of businesses. And I was talking to the guys and trying to understand what they were looking for and everything. It all seemed pretty well. And so I'm looking at the doors and noticed that the handles are, a little loose, like they were saying, and they essentially just wanted, from what I understood anyway, they explained it as if they just wanted it to be tightened and see if that was possible, or we could discuss other options for replacing the handles if that was needed, right? They're just simple full handles, and I'll probably put a PNG picture of what those look like to kind of explain. And ooh, so yeah, look at all these sets of doors. So 20 doors in total, or 10 pairs or 10 sets. And yeah, it's like looking like a pretty easy job. It would just be a matter of like, you know, just tightening them, like simple, like really, really simple. And yeah, so I did the quote, and I just did it for like time. Basically, I'd just be repairing existing stuff, and it all sounded good. And you know, like 2 weeks after I went and saw the original quote, I was there and I was supposed to do the job. Yeah, so I go and I do the job, and I run into some issues. Like some of the handles are very hard to, like, I can't loosen them enough to get them off and then retighten them or see what's making them loose in the first place. So as I'm going, like, I'm running into more issues. Like, I'm breaking tools trying to get these out, and I'm also like basically I am stripping the screws, so it's making it impossible for me to take them apart even if I wanted to at this point. Like, it's rougher than I thought it was going to be. Almost everything I tried, it was not working out well. And, you know, I got through, I want to say, 2 pairs of doors, and then once I got onto the 3rd set, I was like really struggling. And, you know, every once in a while the guys would come out and check on me, and I was kind of explaining to them what I was doing, what's worked thus far, and what maybe I need to change, like how I would approach it. And I remember when I did the quote originally, the guys mentioned that they wanted to make sure that I kept everything looking the same. And I didn't understand why at the time, but now I do. And what I've come to realize is this business situation that they have going on is kind of like a kind of like an HOA, if you would, like in America, like for like housing stuff, like that kind of idea for like a business. So they have like, I don't want to say 10 or 12, well, I guess it would be 10 businesses, 10 sets of doors in this little, this big building complex. And I guess they have a board, and they elect people from the businesses to be in charge of like maintenance for all the buildings. So like, if there's any cosmetic changes like paint or anything that needs to happen outside, or window replacements, whatever it may be, if anything that needs to happen, this board would be responsible for, you know, conducting that, calling the right people to get that work done, etc. And I didn't know that at the time, and it's now that I look back at it, I understand, like, that's what it was. And that becomes important later. But basically, at first I was talking to one of the 3 people that were on this board, and then I would be talking to 2 out of the 3, and as of today, even now, after I've gone back several times and had so many issues, I still haven't met the 3rd person. And the first guy that I talked to, and I was originally planning everything with, he was like seemingly super chill and understanding. And the second guy, he was not so chill, but he's definitely more like of a tightly wound guy, I would say, and he definitely doesn't make things easier. Going along, and I'm on the 3rd sets of doors, and I've run into some issues. You know, I've been stripping screws and everything else, and I'm just like realizing that this might be a little bit more difficult than I originally quoted for, which is fine. You know, if I have to take more time than I originally quoted for, that's okay. That's, you know, part of my learning and development as a professional. I wouldn't punish them for that. That's on me, kind of thing. But I was realizing that, like, I'm gonna have to start like doing a completely different approach, and I was starting to worry about, you know, being able to keep the sameness that they're looking for. Like, I were gonna have to like new screws, like different looking screws, or drill holes in places that there weren't originally, or they weren't on all of them. Like, that's when I might start getting some complaints. I was concerned about that. So as I was going along, like anytime I saw them, if they come out to check on me or whatever, I would kind of mention to them like I was doing this, and at the time they seemed to be understanding, but in doing this, I was gonna have to like get out my drill, and these handles are like super close to the door, obviously, like the way that they curve out and where the screws sit. It's very hard to get a drill in to drill out the existing screws to then put in new, tougher ones. Like, oh, I died. So like as I'm doing that, I wasn't being as careful as I should have at the start, because I wasn't thinking about, you know, the danger of damaging things or like scuffing up the doors. I don't know why I wasn't thinking, but I didn't at the time. And then yeah, so as I'm going and I'm using my drill, the drill head is, you know, sometimes rubbing against the door and scuffing up the paint slightly, little things like that. And I don't know, but for whatever reason, the vibe seemed to be, it was kind of like quick and dirty kind of thing that I was doing, because it was just, again, I'm just repairing and tightening stuff, like stuff that's been there for several years. And like the doors didn't look like crap, obviously, but they didn't look like brand new pristine or anything. Like I needed to be extra careful, and it wasn't really stressed to me like how picky they wanted to be about looks. It was more so, and this is my, you know, misunderstanding obviously on my part, but it seemed to be that they were worried more about the functionality of the door and that the handles weren't gonna rip off than they were about the looks. So maybe that's my fault for misinterpreting, or maybe they didn't stress that enough. I don't know. That's just kind of how things went. So hello. There we go. And unfortunately, like little, oh my, at the time I thought they were little things because I didn't think that they were being all picky about looks and everything. And then as I'm going, they come out and they're like, oh yeah, this looks like they're nice and tight now, it's looking pretty good, but like I noticed that you scuffed up paint a little on the door. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm sorry about that, I apologize. Is there, like, if you want, like I can touch those up, or if you have paint, I can do that for you, or like if you think it's really bad, I can also, like, I can talk to my manager and we can arrange me getting some paint for you guys to make sure that's fixed up. Like I don't want to leave any damage unnecessarily for you guys. And he's like, yeah, okay, like that sounds good. And this is the guy that I originally talked to and kind of planned everything with, the guy that was the most chill anyway. So anyway, I continue along, and like there's all sorts of like little hiccups that I had to deal with. Like I remember one of the business owners wasn't there, so I had to go back and forth talking to the guys to like actually they let me get the door open, because some of the doors I needed to get open. Oh, that's a fail. Some of the doors I needed to get open to properly work on them. If I didn't, then I couldn't like properly drill them out and do what I was already doing. So I needed access to the doors. I needed them open at least to a degree. And there was a bit of a hiccup here and then about getting that arranged and everything else. So just little things, but it added up and it wasted a lot of time, unfortunately, too. But whatever, that's the least of my qualms with what happened. But anyway, I was getting near the end, and the second guy came out, and he's looking at stuff, and he's like, you know what, this is really bad, like seeing the markups and stuff. Whereas the first guy said, it's okay, like we can arrange something to get it touched up, it's not too bad. And then the second guy comes and he's saying, oh no, this is really bad, like this is like egregious, basically, the way he's acting. And I have to, you know, all of a sudden the second guy seems to be the guy calling the shots, even though I arranged almost all of this with the first guy. So my original interpretation, my original understanding, like kind of the vibe I was going off of was from the first guy. And now suddenly at the end of the job, after I'd done all this work and done it a certain way, it's seeming like I have to now appease to this second guy, which wasn't really around for the majority of the work. So, like, that's kind of the tone of how it started to go, and it'll be important later. But anyway, end of the first day, this guy's upset, and they say, we're gonna need some things fixed, like this won't do. And I'm like, okay, let me see what I can do. And I'll call my manager, talk to my manager, and told them, like, kind of, it was just me talking to my manager, relaying their upset, and like, this is what they're asking. And he's like, okay, well, you know, look into some paints, and if they have any, that'd be great, but if not, like, look into some paints and we can figure some stuff out. And I was like, okay, sure. So then came like 2 weeks of driving back and forth, and mind you, like, this job was in another city from the one that we're based in, so I had to go like out of the way many times to fix this. And every time I had to drive there, like, it's wasting gas, it's wasting time, and like, it's just, and they're not really communicating with me. Like, I am asking questions, or like I'm asking for as much information as I can from them, and they're not really giving me much. It's kind of like, you messed up, you got to figure it out. And, you know, it's my first time I've ever had a job where like this kind of thing happened. So obviously I was very like appeasing to them. I was like, yes sir, you're right, the customer's always right, kind of thing. And I'm not saying that that's not an important way to go, but now looking back, I realized that they could have been more clear with me. And like I said, I organized this whole job with one guy, and now suddenly my work isn't up to snuff with the second guy who wasn't involved with anything originally. So it's kind of like I'm working for a whole nother person now. So obviously it's not going to be exactly what you're expecting. And that's kind of the frustration. That's when the frustration really started with how things were going, because this would be how it is continually. Every time I go and I talk to one guy, and then the second guy comes and it's not to his standards. So now, okay, what do I do? If this guy's upset, how, like, who am I really working for, kind of thing? Where am I going? Anyway. Yeah, the first day ends and I'm looking for paints. And I go to a bunch of different paint places and I'm asking, like, how would I match up this paint? Because, oh, I forgot to mention, these doors were like a green, like a frog green. Like, I guess it's semi-common for commercial doors to be that, but not really. And a green paint, from the minimal knowledge that I have of paint, green paint is one of the hardest paints to match. Like, a green and a blue is so hard to match, especially when it's like going on aluminum. Like, it's just a pain. And I'd come to learn that as I went back and forth talking to paint people and going to different paint shops and what have you. Like, it was so difficult. And anyway, I bought my first paint and hoping that it was a good match. Like, I compared swabs and stuff. I went to the guys and I asked them if they thought that looked good, and they said yes, and kind of went that way. And, you know, then I start with like a little artist brush putting on this paint, and he's like, oh no, that's not it. Okay, well, I don't really know what I can do, because I can't, like, I don't think I can get this paint refinished, basically. At least I don't think so. And again, I had to go back and forth and talk to people and, you know, ask for favors basically to get this paint figured out. And the second time I got it redone, went, and still they're like, no, this doesn't match. And even though when I brought the swabs originally, they said, yeah, that looks good. Like, I know that doesn't mean that it's going to be perfect, but you gave me the okay on this. Like, and the difference in the paint tone is, it's different for sure. But like, if you're like 10 feet away looking at it, you're not gonna tell. That's kind of like what it was, is you're not gonna be able to tell how off it is. So I I just started to get really frustrated with this second guy, because again, it was the second guy that was like the lead complainer, and then the first guy who I originally talked to, he was kind of just like nodding his head agreeing, because he knew that, you know, it's not worth arguing with this guy, because obviously this guy's got, he's the one that cares the most. He's the one that's in charge now, apparently. I died. Yeah, so then after, you know, like probably like the 5th time going back there and trying to figure out paints, and also like it was really hard. I died again. Anyways, it was also really hard to like coordinate with them when I could meet with them and stuff. Like I would try and send messages or ask when they're available, and they just either wouldn't get back to me, or they would say, yeah, that might work, but I can't guarantee it. And I was like, okay, but I need to verify with you if this paint color's okay. Like, you need to be here. You're the one that cares, right? But every time it was like they didn't want to coordinate with me. And it's like, I'm trying to remedy this for you. Like, I need you to work with me. Like, I get it, it can't be every day, but I need you to give me a firm time that we can meet up and do this. And that was the most frustrating thing, because once I thought we were on the same page, like I got a paint where they're like, yeah, that should be good. Like that should be good enough. Like they were like, yeah, that should be good enough. Like they saw it, like when I put it on, they were just like, let's let it dry just to make sure, and then like come back another day and put on the last coats and we'll get this all done. I was like, okay, sweet. And you know, this is like probably 4 weeks into the process, and this was not last week but 2 weeks ago now, like in real time. So I finally coordinate with them when I can come back, and it's all set in motion seemingly. Okay. And then I'm terrible at this game. And then when I get there again, it's the first guy, chill guy, or at least he was chill at first. He's like, yeah, like the paint looks pretty good, but you know, let me get this second guy again just to make sure. All right, call this second guy, and he comes and he talks to me, and again he's like, you know what, no, this won't do. And I was like, dude, like I've been waiting to finalize this for weeks now. Like you said it was gonna be good, kind of thing. And he's like, and then he just starts like laying into me like, well, if you didn't do this in the first place and blah 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 and all of this stuff, and he's kind of like offloading, and he's like, and also, and they mentioned this the first day, I kind of marked up the handles as I was drilling alongside them, so they were definitely like a little damaged. This is so frustrating. I keep dying. I suck. I like marked up the inside of the handles a touch too, but I fixed them. Like I smoothed them out again. Like, yeah, you can feel that like there was damage done in the past, but like the handles worked fine. They didn't feel disgusting or anything, and it was on the inside. It's not like a cosmetic issue where you can see it like from when you're walking up to the door. It was like on the back side of the handle where you'd usually grab. So yeah, like it sucks that you can feel that, and I admit that I did damage it, but it's not like something that affects the functionality or the safety of the handle. Whereas when I'm talking to the second guy, he's like, no, you can really feel like it's rough. He's like, if someone doesn't know, they can like really scuff up and hurt their hand on that. And I was kind of like just nodding my head, like in my head saying like, dude, you're full of it. Like that's literally not true. Unless you have baby girl hands, that's not how these handles are. Like, yes, they're not perfect, but they are not beat in any sense of the word. Like, you're just being dramatic. Can you die? Anyway, so after this, and he's like starting to yell at me and like just bring up all this stuff, which I thought we talked about and had like finalized the first day when I said, yeah, I'll look into this, I'll look into that. I sent him many emails and different links to stuff, because like he said that he was concerned about the handles, and I said I'd look into suppliers that had them. I told him what places I'd look at, and he's like, yeah, do that. And I looked and they didn't have the same dimensions, because mind you, there's lots of different handles, but not all handles are made the exact same. And he was convinced that I was like lying to him. Like one of our main suppliers that he knew about, I told him like, yeah, I'd look in to see if they had them. They didn't in the same dimension. I went to the store physically after checking online, and I talked to someone and he said, yeah, we don't have any like that. We have some that are similar, but we don't have them in stock, so it'd be special order and they'd be really expensive. And I'm like, okay. And I told this guy that, and he just basically said like, you're full of it. I was like, okay. So that was frustrating. Oh my gosh. And it was getting heated between me and this second guy. So then I was like, listen, can I call my manager and we can get this all, like, let's get everything said and out loud and make sure everyone that needs to be in the loop is in the loop, and then we'll go from there. And he's like, yeah, sure. So I call my manager and we talk, and yo, chill. Oh my gosh. And he was kind of taken aback because he thought that I had everything handled or everything under control, and so did I. But then suddenly I'm getting this call of like big problems, big issues, and we have this long call, and it went fairly well. But at one point my manager was starting to like yell at him too, because like he was kind of like laying into me when he really didn't need to. And then basically, like, after talking and we're all like saying what we can and can't do, we're back to square one. After I did the job originally, it was like, okay, this isn't good, this is like this, and this is whack, and you have to fix this. And it was like paint and handles might need to be replaced and yada yada yada. And essentially that's where we're at now. I died? Oh, and it's been 2 weeks since that last happened, and I am just dreading trying to address this because it's been such a pain. And the real thing, I'm literally just dead. Okay. Oh wait, no, I have where oh we're back to square one. They said the paint's no good, so you got to replace the paint, and the handles, like, they're shot and you might need to replace them, and this and this, and like if we have to hire painters rather than you guys doing it, then we're gonna charge you guys for this. And they haven't paid for the work that I did originally, which I understand. They're not satisfied. So, but like, I've spent now accumulatively probably like doing the job originally and then doing all the research to remedy the issues and buying paint and other research. Like, in total I probably spent at least, I'd say, 30 hours on this job that I only quoted, I think, maybe 4 to 6. I don't think any more than 6, but I'm pretty sure it was 4 hours on. And I've invested 30 hours of work time into this. So like, it's not profitable at all. Like, what we originally charged isn't enough to cover everything, obviously, so it's a loss on that. But it's getting to the point where it's like, do we just call the whole thing a loss and walk away from it? Like, it's such a headache. Like, we don't want to deal with this. At least I don't anymore. And that's kind of the conversation that I'm in with my manager now, is like, do we just walk away from this and call it a day? Because like, it's no fun. So that's where we're at now, and like, it's just the most frustrating job I've ever had at this job. And it's more so frustrating because I quoted all this, and now I feel stupid, because I should have realized that from the beginning that these guys kind of were going to be difficult with how the business was structured, the leadership thing. And like I said before, like, I was essentially dealing with the HOA of a business, like the HOA kind of structure of a business, which is like, from what I understand and how I see it, if you want to work for someone, you want to just work for one person, not multiple people. Because if those multiple people don't agree on things, then suddenly you're playing this game of who's the person that's actually in charge, or who should I be more focused on appeasing, rather than, okay, there's this job and this guy said it, so I'm just going to do it because there's only one guy in charge.
The gathering of Hell Priests is located just above your location.
All right.
My scans indicate there is a lift at the center of this facility.
So if I knew that originally, that there was multiple people that I have to appease, and these people that are the representatives of this board are now getting chewed out because they're not satisfied with the job from all of the business owners. So like, it's like every time I go, they're changing what they want. They're moving the finish line. Like, I'd show up with the paint and they're like, oh, this paint isn't quite perfect, and now we need it to be perfect. Whereas before they're like, yeah, just get a good paint that's a decent match and patch it up, we'll call it a day. And then it's like, oh, like, yeah, when you fixed the handles 2 weeks ago, they seemed pretty good, but now people have mentioned that they don't like that it's different, that it's a little rough or whatever it may be. And now the handles are an issue too. And it's like, dude, you tell me one thing and then I come and I do that, and then you're like, but it's this one thing that we told you isn't quite enough that anymore, actually. So it's just, it sucks. And I wish I walked away from the quote originally. Seemed too easy, I guess. And that's basically the whole story I wanted to tell. So now I'm just gonna play some Doom for a little bit and chill. And I guess if anything else comes to mind, I'll talk about it. But I wanted to do a Doom playthrough originally. I don't know why. I guess it's because the new Doom came out and I never really played any of these Doom games, the new ones. And I figured might as well tell a story while I play.
No man can pass through the gate.
Ew, I was packing that the whole time?
This stops nothing. The sacrament of this world to the great Khan Maker will be made, and the energy will be restored once again. As it is written, from the souls of the non-believers, you will not save them from their judgment.
Pop this guy.
You go too far this time. You cannot interfere. This is humanity's chance to repent, to give service to us. You cannot resist the will of the Khan Maker.
Activating the portal now.
For it was you who was meant to enforce it.
Neat. Pretty gnarly. Friendly? Walkers. Yeah. Ow! No way I died. I'm gonna need to practice because I'm not good at this game. Sorry, loser. Question mark? Gargoyle ghouls. Thought so, little bro. Not used to this in-air movement speed. Oh! Why am I terrible at that? Yo! Okay, I need to not jump, I guess. Yes, that's my problem, is I'm jumping. Making my way downtown. Okay, meat and jelly beans. Starburst jelly beans go crazy.
You cannot kill the priests. You know our laws. Despite their transgressions against the Covenant, they are still of Sentinel blood. What you interfere with now is bigger than you can imagine. It is written. It is their time to give penance. If you continue, you will bring down the heavens' wrath. You are but one man. They are no longer your people to save.
Brother. Piece of candy. Really huffing in this suit. Doug. God's gonna chase me. So, bro. That's not what I'm trying to do. Ow! Have mercy! I'm really bad at this game. Okay. I gotta stop screaming. This is about. What am I doing? What am I happening? What am I happening? I did it? Very nice. Very nice. That's my rifle. Right. As soon as I'm in town, y'all start working together. Oh. All right, little bro. Oh my. I'm dead. That's what I get for switching to controller. Oh. Ow. So rude. Very nice. Very nice. Scared me. Oh, I'm such a terrible aim, it's crazy. Oh, you tried to trick me. No, those are bodies. All of it is bodies? Oh my word. Disgusting. Oh damn. Aim assist, aim assist. Get back. Where's my other gun? Oh, that's hot lava. Helio. Sand hell. I don't like those guys. Yeah. With its health. What is happening? Holy crap! Oh!